I've got to be honest with you, I hate mowing. It's about as soul destroying for me as clearing snow off the drive in the winter for the whole lot to have melted a couple of days later. So I was pretty excited when I had a chance to install one of these in my garden. The Can Mower do nearly 700 square meters of garden divided into 4 separate zones, separated by walls, paths and terrain that is pretty complicated and tricky to negotiate. Let's find out in today's video. Now, a quick bit of disclosure for you. I was gifted this mower by Mammotion, but I waived any fee that I probably would have been able to get for doing the video. That's why I like it, because it gives me maximum freedom in terms of what I talk about. I have been using this mower for over a month now, so I really have had a chance to see how it works, the good and the bad, in negotiating all the problems that this garden could throw at it. But if after watching it you decide to buy one, you can really help support my channel by clicking on one of the links below, because they've kindly offered me a small commission for my efforts. Why Mammotion? Well, quite simply, I've heard good things about their mowers. They've got 2 new models and you choose according to your garden size. The Luba 2 all-wheel drive has either a 3,000 or 5,000 square metre capability, and the Luba Mini all-wheel drive comes in 800 or 1,500 square metre models. I chaotically measured my garden at about 680 square metres, so they sent me the 800 square metre model and the weather-resistant garage. But I couldn't unbox anything yet because I had to get my garden ready for the most organised chapter in its life. Now, I don't know about you, but my lawn rarely gets enough attention during the summer months. But the brilliant thing about getting this mower is the prep work started pretty much from the end of March, before the first cut of the year, when these photos and videos were taken. And as you can see, the lawn was a mess. We've got this area up here, the main lawn just below it, this area here separated by a path, a raised section that Mammotion said couldn't be mown. Well, we'll see about that. And then this section at the bottom of the garden, which could only really be accessed around the side of the house. So I needed to get the lawn ready, by which I mean to cut it to a height that the Luba could take over from. It was too long to mulch in, so I had the exhausting job of dumping all the cuttings in sacks, hauling them up to the compost heap and then going again. As you probably know, this isn't necessary once the robot mower takes over, as it cuts a minute amount each time that can mulch in and feed the grass. The top lawn was too demanding for my electric mower to tackle, so I got the old petrol mower out and had a big old bonfire at the same time, something without the new mower I wouldn't have got round to for months. All very exhausting and something that would be a distant memory fairly soon. So that's all I'm going to bore you with right now on the prep side of things. We had other bits, hedges to sort out, bushes to trim, and this little beauty here, which I'll come on to in greater detail when we talk about setting channels between zones. Let's get on with the unboxing. So here are a few quick facts. This is a complete DIY install. There's no need for a boundary wire. You don't even need one of these. I'll let that sink in. It's all-wheel drive, has 0-degree turning, helped by internal motors in each wheel, and the front wheels having omnidirectional drive. It's got reactive suspension, which you can really see in action when it's travelling at speed or on challenging terrain. And that clip is not sped up. It can handle 38-degree slopes, which caught me out, as you'll see. Has UltraSense AI vision with auto mapping and RTK, more on that in a minute. And some sort of internal balance sensors.
The robot tilted. The front wheel lifted. The robot tilted.
A 200mm cutting disc and 6 blades and adjustable cutting heights, in the case of my model from 20 to 65mm. And the blades have 2 holes, meaning you can turn them through 180 degrees when the blades at one end have lost their sharpness, thereby doubling the life of the blades. And the swappable battery provides 180 minutes of runtime, mowing up to 324 square meters per hour with automatic recharging. The box is well packaged with a great big quick start guide card, together with a fully comprehensive user manual in the service section of the app, with everything clearly labelled, and includes 6 spare blades. We all love a freebie. I hope this is coming across on the camera, but this just oozes quality. I mean, it's heavy. And the vision module, which you have to install, also seems high quality and comes with colour coded cables and a screwdriver to fix the Torx screws in place. All that remained was for me to click this cover onto the charging station to build the standard garage, and I was ready to set it up. Now, location of your base station. This is going to be determined to a large part by where you can get an outdoor socket. I bought this socket on Amazon, there'll be a link in the description, and installed it. Then got my electrician to connect it into the garage consumer unit, and he also had to change this RCBO to a 20 amp. You get a reasonably long lead with the transformer for the base station, so initially I thought I'd position it here. You get ground screws to secure to the ground both the base station and the garage if you've got one. So I thought this was looking pretty good, but I hadn't read the app properly. For a start, the base station has to be horizontal. You can see why when you see how it rolls backwards onto the charging connectors. And perhaps being so close to the garage didn't help. Incidentally, you can locate it outside the lawn. You'll just have to set up a channel to connect it to the lawn. Anyway, for some reason or other during setup, it couldn't locate the charging station. So I moved it further away from the garage and onto a perfectly level paving slab, which I screwed the base station down to, and this did the trick. They also supply these very good quality anchor bolts for this purpose. More on base station upgrades in a bit. And onto the app installation. So this is pretty simple. Scan the QR code, download and install the app, sign up for an account, find your mower and then install any firmware upgrade that you're prompted to. At this point, you've got to decide what positioning mode you want to use. And what do I mean by that? Well, certainly until a couple of years ago, if you bought a high-end mower like, I don't know, Husqvarna, somebody would have to come along and install wires around the perimeter of your lawn, which stopped the mower from straying outside of those wires. It's a pretty basic process, way of navigating. And I know of a few people who have accidentally cut through their boundary wires. But things changed when the high-end robot mower companies bought out GPS positioning, which did away with the need for you to have to dig up your lawn to put wires around the edge. But these systems need a reference station to relay the satellite positioning back to the mower, and it needs a clear view of the sky, and in some cases no more than 100 meters from the mower, also with a mains electricity supply, which can be a bit tricky. Now, the Luba also mows wire-free and uses RTK positioning, basically for satellites that communicate with the mower for accuracy up to 5 centimeters. And the way it has done that up to now is through its own RTK reference station. This comes with an extendable pole that can either be screwed down or pushed into the ground with a decent spike that is supplied, an aerial to communicate with the mower, and low voltage transformer which can either be connected directly to the charging station or into an outdoor socket elsewhere, and it comes with plenty of spare extension cable. That's pretty good, isn't it? But it gets even better, because literally since they shipped the mower to me, Mammotion have introduced iNavi, which does away with the RTK reference station. And I'm told this RTK Plus vision system is a world first. iNavi communicates between the mower and the satellites directly without the need for one of those antennas reference stations. If you've got full Wi-Fi coverage of your garden, then brilliant, you can use that. If you haven't, then the mower comes with an internal 4G SIM card, and it's free to use the service through 2025. In 2026, I'm guessing they'll charge for it. I don't know what the cost is yet. But you got the Wi-Fi or this to fall back on if it's expensive. And I suspect it won't be. But to make this review as full as possible, I thought I'd try out both positioning modes, and I started with antenna over data link using the RTK reference station, which I positioned on the fence reasonably centrally in the garden and within line of sight of the mower and charging station. It was time to start mapping out my garden, and you can do this automatically using the vision module to detect the physical perimeter of the lawn, or as I did, manually. I'll show you how I got on with the auto mapping in a bit.
Start mapping a task area.
Now, if you never got the chance to drive a radio-controlled buggy when you were little, now you do. You simply manoeuvre the mower around the perimeter of your lawn, and you can set the speed of this, i.e. to speed it up, as you get more proficient with the controls. And as you do this, your first area magically appears in the app. And then it detects when you get back to where you started and prompts you to save down that area. Then you take the mower to your next area. You can either pick it up or drive it there manually and repeat the process. And then if, like me, you realise you want to modify an area to split it into two, you simply take the mower to the area you want to modify and follow the on-screen instructions to divide it up. So it was all looking pretty good, but what I now had to do was train the mower to navigate between each area. And this is the fun bit. You simply place the mower within a task area where you want to create a channel, click start mapping a channel and simply drive the mower from one task area to the next. And as soon as it arrives in the new area, it prompts you to save that channel. It's that easy. Now, I think we'd all agree that's a pretty straightforward channel, but the next one most definitely wasn't. Mammotion said I couldn't mow this raised area, but I wasn't going to accept defeat just yet. So I set about making a ramp for the Luba to drive up from some OSB, 3x2 and roofing felt left over from the cushion box project, finishing it off with slats to give the wheels of the mower something to grip on. The big question now, will it negotiate my new DIY ramp? Never in doubt, in spite of my dodgy steering, and we'll come on to in a minute some special settings just to make sure it works seamlessly during the mowing phase. And the last channel all the way around the outside of the house to access area 3 at the bottom of the garden was arguably the most difficult of them all. This works. That'd be amazing. And again, of course it does. More on that in a minute. So at this point I just set it to mow with no particular settings other than 55mm cutting height. And off it went, mowing the lower lawn and middle lawn, its path across the lawn being the default optimal setting, before pausing for a recharge. It does bash that bush a bit, but it is over the required 1 metre distance. 1m10. So my advice to you, make yours at least 1.5 metres away from any obstacles, before heading over to do the main lawn, also known as Area 2. Area 1, the much rougher, rarely mown top lawn, was in theory a much greater challenge, but being more like an all-wheel drive tank than a delicate robot mower, the Luba handled the terrain with ease and munched through the coarse grass, even though I should probably have raised the cutting height for this first mow. And that first mow is always a race to pick up any stones, branches, sticks that you'd otherwise miss before the mower gets to them. Okay, so we are admittedly 12 minutes in, but if I've still got you, I think this part of the video will be the bit that is most useful to you, because I'm going to run through the remaining settings of the mower by reference to my last month's experience of using it, showing you how to optimally configure everything based on my experience. On with the video. Now, all of that setup was done using the RTK reference station. Pretty impressive given how spread out the zones are, although there was one area towards the bottom of the garden behind the house that it wasn't very happy about during the setup of zone 3. And a lot of you will be thinking, well, I haven't got anywhere to plug this in where it's going to have uninterrupted airspace. So that is why I was quite keen to switch over to the iNavi service, which I did pretty much a day after the full install. Only downside of doing that was it shunted for some reason the base station, the charging station for the Luba, into the field next door. Presumably something to do with the way the positioning is recalibrated. So I had to delete all of the zones and start again, which wasn't a problem given how easy it was to set them up. It probably only took me about 40 minutes. But that's just something to be aware of. Since doing that, the service has run seamlessly, and there isn't really much more to say about it, except to say that I'll be sticking with it, unless I have a very good reason not to, because I don't really want this stuck up in the middle of the garden. So I set the mower off to mow the entire lawn, but it quickly occurred to me that if I did that, I'd only be able to have one load of settings for the entire garden, because your settings are hidden within the task menu, and one task means one load of settings. And I wanted it to be a bit more tailored than that. Area 1 with its undulating terrain can be reasonably long cut, 55 to 60mm. And I wanted to do Area 5 early in the morning to keep it away from the prying eyes of any opportunist thieves. And generally, I didn't want to mow every single area every single day. I wanted to mow every other day, just to assess how well the lawn was growing with such regular mowing. The two main lawns I wanted to be mown in straight lines, which is 110 degrees setting in the app. For my lawn, at any rate, given the orientation of the house, You can set a zigzag path or chessboard and of course orientate it to any angle of your choice. And you can even create a pattern or words. And then we've got obstacle detection. That is important. Now this vision module on the top does a few jobs. It auto maps areas, more on that in a minute. It helps guarantee accuracy when satellite positioning fails due to a poor signal. For example, when it's mowing under this big tree. Not that that's happened too often. It's also got an FPV mode, which works like a security camera and gives you real-time video monitoring if you want to watch while it's mowing. But it also identifies obstacles. And you've got 3 modes: standard, sensitive and off. Now I found even in standard mode the mower would stop, for example in front of that ramp,
Working paused.
up to the top lawn, and even when crossing the path between areas 2 and 4. So I've switched obstacle detection off wherever I've had problems like this. Now that appears to have solved all those problems with it pausing. So with standard obstacle detection, as I've currently got in area 3, it does this. And with detection off, it still navigates obstacles by detecting them with this front bumper. But with obstacle detection switched off, it's really important to set your no-go zones, as I found out to my cost with this bonfire. The 4-wheel drive capabilities of the mower are so impressive, it doesn't think twice about mounting an object like this. Not go on my bonfire. That is a disaster, given how many old scraps of metal and stuff there were on the top of the bonfire. So unfortunately, I found myself having to turn the blades around almost immediately. But setting a no-go zone is dead easy. From the create area where you created the maps, you simply navigate the mower to the area to be mapped, start mapping the no-go zone, and when the mower gets back to where it started, the no-go zone mapping is complete. And here is our bonfire no-go zone in action. So in summary, I've got 5 tasks, which you can see here organised in the order in which the next one is due, from 5 hours away right through to this one that's due in a day and 17 hours. They're scheduled for different days of the week and different hours of the day to maximise runtime, battery life and lawn health. And you can switch a particular task on or off, like I've done here, whilst I sort out a little mole problem. Other settings within the task area include mowing speed, which you can adjust from a pretty glacial 0.2 meters per second through to a pretty nippy 0.6. You can set whether it mows the perimeters or not, and you can see perimeter mowing in operation here. And in the main global settings area, you can stop it mowing on rainy days, which is what I've done. Specify multi-point turns at the end of each run so that the mower doesn't wear out the lawn, which it might do with those 0-point turns that it can do. You can switch off the side LEDs, which is useful so as not to draw attention to the fact you've got 1500 quid mower sitting in your garden at night, and also the lights, but this isn't advisable at night as the mower won't be able to use the vision module for obstacle detection and the like. Now, I promised to talk to you about auto mapping, and I thought this lawn up here would be the perfect opportunity, given it's reasonably self-contained but has a couple of tricky areas to test it with. Now, I tried auto mapping a few times. First time it failed, the mower paused and I had to redo it, and the second time it worked seamlessly. And comparing it with my manual map, it's done a pretty good job. It also carefully negotiated the steps and seemed to know what it was doing with the brick path as well. Problem is, I then tried to continue the auto mapping today to rerun it because I hadn't filmed the mower close up doing the auto mapping, which I thought would be useful for you. So I deleted the area and redid it. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to successfully map the lawn using the auto feature. And this is the point where it just paused, and it provides you with some error messages to explain why. What it did do 3/4 of the way around when it hit the path and got too confused is suggest that I manually complete the mapping process by directing the mower myself back to the start point. And I did that and it worked. And so it is quite neat that it can auto map most of it, but then if it gets into trouble, it asks you to finish off the mapping. I suppose what we take from this is if you've got quite a tricky lawn with lots of different areas and obstacles, best thing to do is to manually map it, because let's face it, it's quite a fun thing to do anyway. But if you've got a pretty straightforward area that's, for example, walled off, then the auto mapping, I think, would work really well. Now, there's another point I wanted to just show you, and this regards what was a slightly muddy area in front of the recharge station. Fine on nice dry days like this, but not so good when it's raining. When the mower does that 0-degree turn, it churns up the ground, and in the rain the wheels get clogged up. A good mate said his Husqvarna destroys the grass in front of the base station, so he suggested I install a stabilising grid rather than just turf the area. I part fill them with soil, then laid new turf in the surrounding area. Then filled the grids with grass seed and topped up each grid with topsoil before using up the rest of the 5 square metres of turf around the edges. You can immediately see the benefits of that stabilising grid a few weeks later, and I'm incredibly pleased with the result. When the mower turns, it no longer churns up the soil, and the grass has grown, and that barren area in front of the charge station now looks great. And how effective is it? Close to the edges. The mower, as we know, does this rather nice 3-point turn to preserve the grass at the end of each run, assuming of course you don't switch to 0 turn mode, and then does 4 passes of the perimeter here to get the job finished. Well, you do get this little bit here that can't quite be mown. We're looking at about 100mm, which, you know, isn't the biggest surprise in the world, given you've got, yeah, pretty much about just over 100mm between the edge of the blade and the edge of the mower. But given the massive time savings with the general mowing, you have to be pretty hard-hearted to be annoyed by this, and a quick strim once a week or so and you're basically sorted. And when you've got a flat area like this, when you're manually creating the area, you can drive the mower halfway across the edge of the lawn so that when it's doing its mowing, it naturally comes onto the paving whilst it's mowing this bit. Now, this wouldn't be a proper review if I didn't tell you everything that's been going wrong in the last month that I've been testing this mower. But if I'm going to be honest with you, there hasn't been a great deal. The pausing between channels because of obstructions, and you do get notifications in the app when something goes wrong, I've already told you about. And since I turned off obstacle detection, this hasn't happened. I have occasionally found that changing settings within one task carries them over for another to another task, in particular setting lawn patterns, but I haven't seen this for a while, so I suspect it was ironed out in one of the recent software updates. And on the obstacle detection front, when you're manually mapping out an area, do give some careful thought about how the mower is going to work in restrictive places. For example, it got into a bit of a pickle here because it's so good on its 4-wheel drive, and it did get a little stuck trying to negotiate around the back of this tree stump. In this situation, either set a no-go zone or actually avoid that area entirely by excluding it from the boundary of the area that you're manually mapping. And actually, the problem that surfaced most during this testing phase has been the mower running out of charge before it could get back to the base station. If I'm going to be honest, this has happened on several occasions, and again, I suspect it's been dealt with in one of the most recent firmware updates, because I can't remember the last time it happened. And on the update front, when it's near Wi-Fi, it will prompt you through the app to update the mower's firmware, software, whatever it is. These updates come in pretty often, and they tell you after each update what has been fixed. And for those of you out there using Home Assistant, there's a Mammotion Hacks integration, and this gives you very detailed real-time information during each mowing task, and also the ability to set automations should you have any issues, for example, with the mower not returning to the docking station. I thought I'd just mention Home Assistant because I think it's a pretty big benefit that you can bring this machine within the Home Assistant fold. Just over a month ago, my garden was a neglected mess, and I promise you I'm pretty time poor with this YouTube malarkey, and things would have stayed like this for much of the summer if I hadn't got hold of this wonderful machine. It's been a small journey getting it set up optimally and honing the settings to take account of the peculiarities of this garden, but I'm there, and for the last few weeks the mower has operated seamlessly, mowing each zone according to the settings. The lawns are now looking great, in spite of the very dry conditions we've got here in the UK at the moment, and most importantly, my input in this is minimal. I admittedly haven't reviewed other mowers in this video, but looking quickly at the competition, the design and all-wheel drive focused ruggedness is strikingly different with the Mammotion to most of the other ones on the market. And of course there's that reference station-free satellite positioning, all at a pretty competitive price. But that's just my view. Let me know what you think in the comments below, if you've got experience with one of these robot mowers. So that's it for today. I'm exhausted. It's taken me nearly 2 weeks to put this review together. I hope you found it reasonably useful. And if it has in any way influenced you to buy one of these, there'll be a link in the description below this video, either to Amazon or directly to the Mammotion website. I do get a small commission if you order through that, and it really does help to keep the lights running at Charlie DIYte. Can't thank you enough. Clearly, there will be things I've missed today, like your ability to upload logs if something goes wrong. I've found the technical support pretty quick getting back to me when I've done that. And also the anti-theft features. So yeah, that's it. If you've liked today's video, it'd be great if you could click the like button below. And if you're new to my channel, it would mean so much to me to have you subscribe. You can do that by clicking on the link here. And don't forget to click the bell notification icon so you get notified whenever I upload a video. Hopefully see you next week.